The desert wind carried nothing but disappointment that morning. Targets had been chewed apart by bullet holes, yet the shot count on the board remained embarrassingly low. 3 of the Marine Corps' best snipers stood frozen behind their rifles, their breath tight, their pride wounded. They had trained for years, won competitions, and carried reputations feared across bases, yet today none of them crossed even 60 clean hits. That's when she stepped forward, quiet, calm, almost invisible in the crowd. A woman in a simple T-shirt and cap, hands tucked behind her back. Every sniper, every instructor, every Marine present stared at her as she walked toward the firing table like she had done it 1,000 times. And in a soft voice that carried more confidence than a scream ever could, she asked the question that froze every man in place. "Can I borrow your rifle?" By the time she hit her 100th shot, no one was breathing. By the time she hit 101, no one would ever forget her name. The woman no one expected. The day had begun like any other test of skill. Dust swirling in the early sun, rifles lined across heavy steel tables, and Marines tightening their gear with the seriousness of surgeons. Everyone expected a clean victory from the Corps elite, Wyatt, Pierce, and Dalton, the trio known as the Range Reapers. They had earned their reputation through blood, sweat, and a collection of trophies locked in glass cases across 3 different bases. But that morning something unexpected hovered in the air, an unease none of them recognized until it was too late. She arrived quietly, like the breeze that sneaks in before a storm. Her name was Elara Ward, a civilian marksmanship trainer contracted for a short-term evaluation program. Tall but not intimidating, athletic but not showy. Her face held calm strength, someone who didn't need to prove anything. Not to them, not to anyone, and that alone irritated the snipers. Wyatt scoffed when she approached the range. "She's here to observe, right, not compete." Elara simply smiled, tightening her braided ponytail. "I'm here to learn. Same as you." There was no sarcasm, no challenge, only sincerity, and somehow that stung even more. The test began. Pierce missed the 5-second target. Dalton missed at 47. Wyatt, the pride of the team, missed at 58. Murmurs rippled through the watching crowd. Something was wrong. The sun was harsh, wind unpredictable, and stress hung thick as smoke. Each sniper slammed their bolt back with growing frustration. Elara watched silently, studying the wind like she was listening to an old friend. Her eyes didn't leave the range. Every rise in dust, every shift in air, every shimmer of heat, she absorbed it all. When Wyatt's final shot ricocheted off the target frame, he cursed under his breath and smacked his rifle. "Damn things off today." That was the moment Elara stepped forward. "Can I borrow your rifle?" she asked softly. Every Marine turned. Wyatt blinked. "You want to try, with this rifle?" She nodded. Her expression didn't hold arrogance, only curiosity, respect, and something deeper. A quiet understanding that made Wyatt hesitate before handing her the weapon. The moment she took it, the energy changed. She checked the chamber, adjusted the stock, and lowered her body into a firing position so smooth that the entire line fell silent. It wasn't flashy, it was professional. Almost too professional. The first shot rang out, direct hit, then another. By the 20th shot, whispers rose behind her. Marines leaned forward stunned. By the 50th, every sniper shifted uncomfortably. By the 80th, even the officers had stopped pretending not to stare. And when she hit her 100th target cleanly, without a single miss, the entire range forgot to breathe. But she didn't stop. She aimed one last time. The 101st target exploded with a perfect shot. And as she set the rifle down gently, her voice barely above a whisper, she said, "Your rifle's fine, Sergeant. You just weren't listening to the wind." The silence that followed wasn't full of shock. It was full of respect. The truth behind the shot: the base commander called for a break, but no one moved. Marines who had trained for years in the art of precision shooting stood staring at the woman who had just rewritten the meaning of skill. Elara removed her cap, wiped sweat from her forehead, and walked toward the shade like the entire moment meant nothing. But to the snipers, it meant everything. Wyatt followed her, still processing the storm that had hit his pride. "Where did you learn to shoot like that?" His voice wasn't angry anymore. It was something softer. Humility, maybe even admiration. Elara took a quiet breath. "My father was a Marine sniper," she said. "He taught me before I could even reach the table. He used to say accuracy isn't about ego, it's about patience. He died on deployment when I was 16. Shooting is the one thing that still makes me feel like he's beside me." Wyatt felt something twist in his chest. You kept his skill alive. She shook her head gently. No, I kept his heart alive. Skill fades without purpose. Purpose is what holds the shot steady. Her words landed harder than any bullet ever could. Later, the commanders requested she demonstrate her techniques to the snipers. She declined politely. These men already know how to shoot, she said. What they need is to trust themselves again. Instead, she sat beside them on the dusty ground and walked them through her father's lessons. Not with authority, but with warmth. She taught them how to feel wind on their cheekbone, how to watch the distant shimmer of heat, how to breathe until the heartbeat steadied. She guided them the way someone guides a friend, not a student. Wyatt shot again after the session. This time he hit 71 straight, then 80, then 94. Alara smiled as he celebrated like a kid. See, she said softly. Your hands knew what to do. You just needed to let your heart catch up. By sunset, the Marines gathered around her in a semicircle, not as soldiers guarding pride, but as people grateful for a lesson they never expected. As the sky glowed orange, Wyatt spoke for all of them. You didn't just break our record. You repaired our spirit. She looked at the fading horizon. Records don't matter, she whispered. But who you become after failing, that's what defines you. That night, word spread across the base of the woman who hit 101 clean shots with a borrowed rifle. But even louder spread the story of how she taught the Marine snipers something no textbook ever could. That greatness isn't in the number of hits. It's in the courage to try again. And long after she left the range, long after the dust settled, her voice stayed with them. Listen to the wind. It never lies.